Human. I'm Zach. That's Dan. We welcome to the studio, Jordan, Jutes, Lutes.
Hello. Nice to meet you.
So obviously, Jutes comes from the combination of Jordan and Lutes.
Yep. Actually, it was just like a slip up from a friend of mine in high school. Everyone called me Jay Lutes in high school, and he just called me Jutes. I think he was drunk or something, but he's called me Jutes, and it kind of just stuck.
It's a great name.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, duh. We were saying there's a lot of music out.
Yeah, I've been dropping. I mean, there was a period of time where I was dropping a song a week, so there's a lot of stuff out there.
And
it's
that,
very different. A lot of it's very different, though. It's kind of all over the place.
And that was coming out of your deal at Capitol, right? Because like you were in a unique position where you get signed in 2019. Like literally, it's not COVID, but it's about to be COVID.
Right.
And then,
And I that was like my first year living in LA.
Oh.
Like, I'm from Canada, so I moved to LA. I was living on a couch. Got a little tiny distro deal enough to like get my own spot, moved out, then kind of got interest from the labels and got flown around and then signed a deal and then COVID.
And all that interest comes from Cocaine Cinderella.
That's definitely what started it, I would say. That's like the first time that I had a song do more than like probably 500 views. Like I was like doing nothing, and then that song got on like, this is like SoundCloud, YouTube channels that would have like big followings, and they would
like blogs and stuff.
Blog era, yeah, and like it was like these like sharing channels. Like one was called Swaggy Tracks. It was those days, and they had like 100,000 subscribers, and so they post your thing, but they uploaded on their page. So, but it was just like awareness. Like I was just like, whoa, people are hearing my music. And then things kind of like kept going up from there.
When you finally set on Capitol Records, like a major deal is in, did you dream of it? Or did you just dream of surviving as an artist? Because like your story is interesting too. Like you started doing this in high school and you started doing hip hop, like rapping.
Yeah, it was kind of like just out of high school. I want to say it was like the transition between high school and college. But I really like started the first year of college in my dorm room with just like a webcam mic, like the built-in mic on the laptop in GarageBand. And it was kind of a joke, like making joke rap songs, like self-deprecating. I was like, no one's going to take me serious. So if I like 8 Mile myself every song and pretty much say all like the dumb things about myself, like no one can really laugh at me. Because I'm not taking it serious. But deep down, I was like, I really like this. And I just was like, no one's going to buy that I'm a rapper. Like, they're like, what? You're rapping now? So it started as like a joke, but it wasn't a joke. And then I dropped out of school to pursue it. And then everyone knew it was real.
When you were writing a rap, different than writing a song, or were you approaching both the same back then?
I mean, I was new. I hadn't been writing songs. Like I was into basketball, and then from basketball I was in school for film. So I kind of like discovered film at the end of high school and somehow got a scholarship to a great film school in Canada. And I didn't even really know it was a great film school. Like I kind of was winging it and then showed up and everyone was like, damn, you got a scholarship? Like this is one of the best film schools in Canada. And then in that first year, I was like, I love film, but like school is just not for me. Like I could go out on my own and make these videos and have so much fun, but then if it was like a project, there was like a blockage where I just didn't want to do it. So then I started making these rap songs in my dorm room to kind of like escape. And then I started not going to class, and then I started kind of failing, and I was like, I gotta leave. Like this is a waste of money at this point. I'm not really taking it serious.
Why do you think you got the scholarship?
I don't know. I just put together like a portfolio using stuff I had been making in high school. Like videos that, like in high school, they would be like, you can make a video for this project. Or you can do a PowerPoint thing. It was one of the options, and I would always be like, yeah, I'd have a little flip cam. I'm 33, so like, or 32. I think I'm 32. I don't know.
Well, you're 33.
I'm 33. But either way, I would use like a little flip cam, dating myself, but I would go over and above and like get docked marks for how long it would be, but like it would just like kind of stand out as like this guy tried so hard on this. And so I would use stuff like that and stuff I would do on my own, and I just kind of threw something together. Like I didn't really know what I was doing, but I guess they liked it and gave me a scholarship.
Was your issue like having like to like do something because somebody told you to do it? Like, was that the blockage? Because school is difficult. Like, I can never do school because like it was like,
Yeah.
not that it wasn't my idea. It was just like, I don't know.
I just like doing things the way I like doing them. And like fast forwarding to being on a major label, like maybe that was the issue. That is an issue that I had, was like, I have a very hard time when it comes to like art and whatever form of art it is, to make it with like these boundaries or like the rules or this is what the project is. Like, don't do more than that. Even though I'd be like, I already know how to do this. If it's an editing class project, I already know how to do these things that you're teaching us. Like, I want to go over and above. And they're like, no, it's just this. But I'm like, I already know that. So like, I didn't like school for that reason, that I had been doing it and taught myself a bunch. So it was kind of starting from the beginning. And I was like, I'm bored. I want to go over and above and make what I want to make. Like, it's like, I don't want to put effort into doing something unless I'm enjoying it, you know? So I think that was my issue with school, was just like going about it at their pace and at their, with their rules for each thing. Like, I was just like, oh, I just want to make this thing, and it kind of become whatever it becomes instead of like following
Their
the guidelines. Yeah,
Totally.
exactly.
When did you realize that like making music is what you truly enjoyed doing?
Definitely during that first year of college. It happened pretty quickly. Like, it was a joke, but then I was like, oh, I don't want to stop. Like, every day I was like, I was finding beats on the internet, and I was using like instrumentals from like songs that were on the radio. Like, it wasn't even stuff I could ever own. Like, I did a song over like a Katy Perry beat, and I was like rapping over it. Like, it was just whatever I could find. But I was doing this every day, and I was like looking for beats every day and making a song every single day. And then it wasn't, I don't remember when I started trying to sing. That was like a whole different thing. I always wanted to sing. I mean, my dad raised me on rock music, and the hip hop stuff came from me being so into basketball and like my teammates and stuff like that getting me on hip hop. But like, I really grew up with rock music. So I wanted to sing, but I just wasn't a singer. So like, I started trying to like sing my choruses and stuff like that. And like, eventually the rapping turned into like a lot more melodic rap. And then eventually the rapping kind of died down completely, and it turned into singing.
Cocaine Cinderella, is that like your first introduction fully? Like, when I listened to that record, I don't know, like, it didn't seem like somebody's first song. Clearly it wasn't. Like, you had made many
that
songs
was
previous.
before. That was after like the corny rap era of like everything was a joke. At that point, I'm like, I dropped out of school. I was very serious about it. I was like kind of singing and whatnot. It was like this kind of melodic hip hop thing, and it was definitely when I was taking it very serious. Like, that's when I was like, this is all I want to do with my life. Like, I really want to. Before that, it was like this weird, like really cringy, jokey stage. And then that was kind of the beginning of like, this is for real.
What forces you to take it seriously? Is it the fact that you're getting out of school, but you leave school knowing that you want to pursue music and you move to Toronto?
Yeah. I think it was just that I didn't want to do anything else. And like, I just kind of like got used to, I was like, all right, every time I show people or tell people, they kind of laugh at me. And then it like, people were like, it's harder than you think. When I started being like, no, I for real want to do this. And they're like, okay, buddy, like, it's not that easy. And I'm like, but I'm going to do it. And then I kind of got this thing where I was like, all right, no one has to believe in me. I'm just going to believe in myself and just like go full tilt towards this. But I think it was just getting over the fear of people not taking me serious. And then once I didn't care about that, I was like, all right, let's actually like start writing songs about emotions and like real stuff that means something to me.
It's interesting that like I don't know, like I get it. Like the idea that like you can share what your dreams and hopes are, and like not everyone's going to fully understand it, right? And it takes like blind confidence.
Yeah.
And putting blinders on and ignoring noise that's around you.
And it's like, I kind of started music late in the grand scheme of people that do this for a job usually it's like something they did as a kid, and they like, you know, there's like baby videos of them drumming or playing a guitar or whatever. Like that just wasn't me. So I still feel like I started late, but it's still like, I feel like something about being young, you feel like you can like just take on the world. Like if I was starting now, my anxiety has gotten so much worse as I get older. I'm way more just like aware, like self-aware and aware of like how I might come across to other people. But like there was like a blind confidence that was not warranted. It was just like, I'd play a show to 70 people, and to me, I really saw like thousands of people in the crowd. Like it was like one of those things, and like I just was like, yeah. I was like, in 2 years, we're going to be on. Like, obviously, that was like 10 years ago, but like, I just genuinely believed it. And I was like, yeah, me and all my friends, like, we're going to move to LA and stuff. Like, things didn't happen the way I wanted, but I'm a lot further now than I even really thought. So it is this blind confidence things that comes with being younger. It's like starry-eyed, like anything's possible. And I also think it was like that time, people now I think are so used to the internet. Like I feel like there wasn't as many eyes and there wasn't as much negativity, or the negativity wasn't so, it couldn't get to you so easily at the time. And I was just doing shows. It was very much a live show thing. And like the internet came later. So it was like very much a real interaction. And I was building fans like in person. So I had this confidence because I would see them enjoying themselves. But like starting out now and trying to get on the internet and start something from scratch with today's internet,
totally different.
Sounds terrifying.
No, like I think there was a moment in time where like the internet would like be a place where people rooted for you. Like this, like,
yeah,
you know,
it's like becomes like part of the thing. Like people will join in the comments being like, oh, we're hating on this, like sick. Like we'll all just like hate on it and then move on, and then someone's sitting there like, what have I done? Like I just made a song.
Total herd mentality, and it's really
wild.
sad.
Yeah,
it's really fucked up, and it's discouraging.
Yeah, I mean, you get a thick skin doing it for a long time, especially like I've eaten shit for years. Like, so it's like I kind of have this thick skin now. So if I see a bad comment or if I see a bunch of bad comments, I'm just like, dude, I'm numb. Like, you can't get me now. Like, I've been doing it for too long. But starting out, I wonder if that would have shaken my blind confidence. If it would have been like this like reality check that like, dude, what you think you are is not what everyone else sees. Like, I kind of thought I was a thing, and I also thought everyone saw me as that when they didn't.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Like, when you talked about, like, the way people perceive you, like, my awareness now of how the world perceives me is ridiculous. But back then, like...
it's, like, crippling sometimes.
Oh my God, yeah. It will hold you back from greatness.
Yeah.
It will hold you back from, like, saying what needs to be said.
And huge people say that, too. Like, literally stars that have been doing this for a long time get anxiety. Like, it almost gets worse.
Yeah.
The more eyes are on you and the older you get.
Well, because there's a lot more to lose.
Yeah.
And then the judgment's even more fierce. And then you also are battling this idea that, or this belief that the person you're talking to has a preconceived idea of who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Because they've already seen you and consumed you for whatever that may mean.
Right.
Right? Or at whatever, like, length or like however much they've consumed. It doesn't matter. They've consumed something.
Yeah, and if you've been in it a long time, I mean, we're always evolving and changing as people. And if you're not, it's weird, but people, I guess...
Yeah, they freeze you where they found you.
Yeah, they decide what you are then, and then if you change, they're like, no, we know you, and it might not even be you at all anymore.
Totally.
But it's a weird thing because, like, at that point, it's like, yeah, there's so much pressure, but there's, like, at least this group of people that if you, like... try to just focus on that. There are people that love what you're doing, even if there's people hating on you.
Yes.
But starting out and not having the people to be like, at least they love what I'm doing. Like, if no one loves what you're doing yet, and people are just like, you should quit. Like, this sucks. This is trash. This sounds fire on mute. Like, I just can't imagine what it's like for people that just start out to like just see bad comments. But I think we're also in like this era of like, people know that engagement is engagement.
It doesn't matter.
And so some people are just leaning in now. And it's like almost like a video game where they're like, I just need the number of comments to be high. And like, if I have to rage bait, like, it doesn't matter.
But it's like, dude, like at the end of the day, like what you're doing is like poking and like fueling a cycle. And then eventually all cycles will break, right? And like what like counterculture will take in and like what, it's cool to hate. But then Eventually, it's going to be cool to love. You know, I don't know. Take
Can't
time.
wait. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, what goes around comes around. But it's a disturbing place to release art or to be vulnerable with the public. Because the other thing too is TikTok or the internet like has the ability to also be compassionate and kind. Like there's
like different pockets, and I've even seen
Totally.
videos of people being like, I saw this girl that was like, I looked at a video, I shared it with my husband, and our comment sections were showing us different comments based on the stuff we consume. Like she was seeing positive comments.
Crazy.
And he was seeing negative ones up top. So it's like
Scary.
You're almost getting you're getting your own version, and it's just different for everyone. Everyone's seeing it from like whatever lens their algorithm
Bring me
is.
back the chronological timeline.
Bro.
Bring me back the transparency of knowing what the people I follow like and don't like and comment. Like, dude, that's crazy.
It's Black Mirror.
I don't want a
crazy.
tailored experience.
Yeah.
I want one universal experience. I think there's a point where the internet was like one universal experience. Like when you tune into TV and like you knew that everybody was watching the same fucking thing.
Right. Like if something you could be like, damn, everyone loves this, and someone else is like, no, everyone hates that. And it's like,
I don't like that.
both can be true, I guess. But yeah,
Scary
it's
world.
weird. It's a weird time.
I don't like it. We have two. I want to talk about two albums, but you have three altogether. You can listen to all of Jutes' catalog. It's waiting for you on Amazon Music. But I want to know when you started writing for people, because you do start taking sessions eventually. I mean, dude, you're nominated for a Grammy with Millennium. Like, what happens?
So that wasn't a conscious decision that I was like, I'm going to start writing for others.
Did somebody just introduce it to you?
So I was signed to Capitol. So in my mind, like I actually wrote that song for me. And in my mind, I was like, I need all the ammunition that I can. Like, if this song's really great, I need it for me because something has to work with Capitol, or else I have heard horror stories. You get shelved, whatever. So I'm like, I can't give away any of my music because I need every single chance that I have to break through with Capitol so that they throw money on it and then we take off. And then I think it was just Selenium that like loved it, like loved the song. And then I kind of was like thinking about the idea of like, well, that's actually way bigger than if I were to put it out right now, unless some crazy thing happened with the internet. But like that might actually be like a whole other second career in the same field. But like, I was like, wait, maybe I could do both at the same time, because I've heard of people doing both. I've heard of people being huge writers and then popping off.
Black Bear, there's a ton.
Yeah,
like,
Frank Ocean, like huge people
so many
that were writing first and then became huge artists. So I was like, I would love to do that. I mean, I always have liked being like multifaceted in the sense of like I've done film and art, like drawing and music, and I just like being able to do a lot of stuff. So I'm like, let me explore both sides of songwriting. And when that came out, it was like this cool like feeling where it wasn't even my thing I had to push. It was like someone else had a whole plan, and I was like, that's actually easier than me like working a record and hoping my label. Less anxiety. So I was like, oh, sick, because I just love being in the studio. I love writing songs.
Less pressure.
Yeah. And then I was like, oh, if I go into doing this more, it's also less pressure to like tell my story in a song where I can just like kind of get in the mind of somebody else. And it's just a whole other muscle, I feel like, when it comes to songwriting. So that was definitely the thing that started it. And it's kind of ironic that that one is the one that is Grammy nominated, because I was like, oh, this is sick. Like, why haven't I been doing this the whole time?
What a sign, right?
Yeah, exactly. So then I was, once I was off Capitol and I was independent, like I didn't sign a publishing deal the whole time I was with a major label, because I was like, I don't want to sign both at the same time. Like I always want to have that card to play in the back pocket of like, if times get tough, the label shelves me,
oh, you're smart.
I can go get a publishing deal and not have to move home.
It's a check no matter what, really.
And like on the visa that I'm on, I have to make money making music. So even if things got so bad, I can't drive Uber. Like I can't make money any other way. So I was like, okay, if Capitol stops caring, and I mean, they were like, yeah, we're not going to, like COVID hit, and they're like, we're not going to be able to give any more, we're not going to be able to level up any of the spending. It's just like a repeat of what we just did with you. And then that's how they were like, you want to just go? Like, we're down to just let you go. And I was like,
The nicest thing they could have done.
It was sick. I mean, this is kind of a lesson to be nice because, I mean, I'm Canadian, so like I'd go into Capitol, and despite I definitely wasn't the happiest, I would still go in there and like hug everyone and like say hi to everybody. And I feel like that is the reason why they were so cool about just being like, you can go. Because I know people that were in the same development deal that I was in that got stuck, you know, and I was like, why'd they let me go? Maybe they just didn't like me, but like, or maybe they really liked me.
That.
I hope. That's what I tell myself.
No, seriously, because like the people they like, they just let them go if it's time to
And they were
depart.
like, we're probably going to regret this and stuff. Like, I don't know if they just say that to everyone, but we just had a really good relationship with everyone there. And so I was really happy that they let me go because this was a time where I started like dabbling in rock music, and it was kind of before like the big rock wave hit, but I was like kind of making rock music, and the president was really big on hip hop. And so he was kind of like, like in your live shows, you can have a band and be a rock star, but like on the actual record, we should keep everything like trap production and stuff like that. And I was like, oh no, like I don't want to do this. So whenever I was able to leave, I was really excited to just like follow my vision and not have to like tiptoe around that or like compromise the music. But yeah, then I went, okay, now I'm independent. Now I can make money off my music and my streams.
Release a song a week.
Exactly. Start doing that and then go get a publishing deal.
Sick.
And I was like, hey, now the publishing money.
But are you getting a publishing deal after the Millennium record? Or before
The publishing deal was...
What's the timeline on
it? It was after that for sure. It was like I had a few things.
Oh, so your worth is way more valuable in that moment than it is...
Yeah. So I was like, I got more from the publishing deal than I did from the Capitol deal.
Totally.
So then I was like, now that's my label money. Like now I'm my own label with that money.
How many cuts did you have at that time?
Oh, I couldn't tell you. But it was more than just the Millennium. Like that was after... I'm trying to think of what I had.
It wasn't after Holy Fuck, right?
It was like during that process of writing, like the songs I had been writing with Demi, but they weren't out yet. And it was kind of that middle ground where they were like, okay, you're doing great shit. Like you're writing with Demi. Like you're good to go. You've been nominated for a Grammy. You've got stuff that's been on like Hits One radio and all this kind of stuff. Like you've been on Billboard. So then it was like, okay, I got a great publishing deal. And then I was like, sick. Now I can still have income from my music, and I have this bank if I need to like do anything, make music videos, like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you get to do music the way you want to do it, while also like exercising and strengthening a muscle that exists for other people.
Yeah.
So how do you approach writing a record for you compared to going and getting in the room with anybody?
So writing a record for me has also kind of changed. Like, it's funny. It's almost come full circle where I used to write a lot of my stuff by myself, just like this, like literally on this mic, the Shure SM, whatever it is. I used to have one on my desk, like sitting in front of me, and I would just be on the computer, like with the beat or whatever, and just like writing while singing into the mic. So kind of freestyling, but then like coming up with the lyrics while I'm coming up with the melodies. And then I branched off to like getting in the room with other people and collaborating with songwriters and working with different songwriters all the time, which I think strengthened my abilities. You pick from people, you're like, that was sick what they did, like I'm gonna try that, and that was sick, and you learn so much from collaboration. But then now the music I'm making, I'm back to like not sitting here in front of the mic. I'm in the room with my producer, but it's like just me, not writing with anybody else, like just letting it flow from me, kind of using all the tools that I've gained over the years of like being in every room in the city, like just like blind dates every single day.
Were you doing blind dates to write for you or blind dates to write for someone else or whatever?
Both, but early on, just me. So I came to LA and like, because I got a record deal, I was valuable. I didn't have any fans really. I mean, I had some fans, but not like anything. But there's a check involved for any producer that works with me because I'm signed. So that got me in rooms all over the city. I met tons of people, met the producers that I do all my music with now, who are like family now. But I met them, and you kind of have to do the blind date thing. And there's like a bunch of weird, it's like dating. It's like there's some weird days where you're like, the vibes are not right. Like we definitely don't want to make the same stuff clearly. And then you find other people that are really cool. But yeah, so I did that. And then for writing for other people, it's kind of always blind dates, unless you want to lock in with a certain artist who happens to be locked in with a producer. Then you can kind of build out something with the same people. But a lot of people are still on the blind date thing. So like if you're writing for other people, there's a lot of times where you're just in kind of random rooms and just there for the day.
Do you need to leave that room with the song? Even in a session for you?
We do. I would say for the most part, I leave that day with a song. But often I'll like listen to it after and be like, all right, this I can do better. This I want to like tweak, and I'll go back and do rewrites and like retouch up certain parts. But we usually leave the day, like we show up and usually leave with a demo of something.
Is there a session that gave you the most valuable knowledge? Because you said you learned a lot.
There's like two different kinds of knowledge or value. There's the technical ability of songwriting, where you learn tricks and you see how certain people go about it. And then I've even been in rooms with people who worked with Max Martin, and they tell me some gems that Max Martin told them. And so I'm like kind of soaking up information that way. But then there's other rooms where it's like I get in with people that, like, I was in with John Feldman and Travis Barker, and I was like, how am I here right now? And then I was like, I have to be worthy. Like I have to have earned this for me to be here. And we make some cool stuff. And then it's like I get in the room with like an Oak Felder and a Demi when I first met Demi. And I was like, how am I here right now? Like, how did I get here? But it builds your confidence in your own ability and your own taste to just trust that, like, why would you be here if you didn't deserve it? And that's huge, especially with collaborating. Like there's the anxiety thing as you get older, like to not want to say an idea in a room full of really talented people that have sold millions of albums, like with someone who hasn't done that. Sometimes it can be hard to kind of voice and be like, I think we should do this, or like, instead of that, we should try this. But after doing that a bunch, you start to be like, oh, I can hang. Like just because you know, I don't have the accolades, like I can contribute.
Yeah, but also like you're meant to be there. Like at that moment, like you've already done you're done selling yourself. Like you've been invited into the room.
Right,
now
exactly.
It's your time to perform.
And they wouldn't have you there. Like they can check what you've done, and they know they're not guessing at that level. They're not like, this is a random person, we don't know who they are.
No, they have you there for your ideas, good or bad. Because like even the bad ones inspire great ones.
Right. So. And the imposter syndrome is just like,
it's crazy.
It never goes away. I mean, some people are probably so confident that they don't get it, but like I know some people who are some of the most talented people on earth, and they get it all the time.
It's real.
And so I'm not the most talented person on earth. I get it bad. So I think that like that was probably as equally valuable as like learning technical songwriting stuff from people.
Why do you think you were brought into those holy fuck writing sessions to begin with?
So Oak executive produced that whole album and has done a bunch of stuff with Demi, and they go way back. And he signed the producers that I had done the Hot Trash EP with. And then I did Ladybug, that whole album, with them, and then Sleepyhead and all the stuff I'm doing now. Like those are my guys that I'm locked in with. They're signed to Oak. And so I had just finished making the Hot Trash EP, and Oak like loved what we were doing. And because Demi was doing rock music, he was like, yo, do you think Jutes would be able to come in and co-write some stuff for Demi? And so it was like through doing the blind dates, meeting Keith and Alex, who produce all my music. They're signed to Oak. They're in the session with Oak working on the Demi stuff. And then through him hearing my music that I made with them, I get brought up. So the blind dates, as gnarly as it can be, like that's It's networking.
No, yeah, you have to prove yourself, and you make an impression. People
Yeah.
remember you. But what was your awareness of that session before you entered it? Like, did you know exactly what you were going in for and who it was with?
I knew who it was with, and I didn't know the vibe of the music. So I was like, I absolutely have to say yes no matter what, because when things come around like this, it's like, you got to say yes, because I was like, this is huge. But I was like, why would I be asked to write for Demi? Like, I'm not a big power vocalist, and this isn't really the type of stuff. Like, I was listening to her last stuff, and I heard Anyone, and I was like, what? I can't write this. So I was like, let me just go and hope for the best and see what happens. And then I show up, and they're playing me some records that they already had, and they were all rock and like very 90s inspired rock, which is like my favorite. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, it was inspiring me to go further into like the type of rock that I started making after, like the grunge rock and the very 90s nostalgic. Like, that music inspired me to then get back in the studio and make another project. So it was a happy surprise. But I didn't know going into it that it was going to be like that. I was just like, sounds like an awesome room. Let's go. Hopefully I don't make a fool of myself.
But you're really going in like a blank canvas because you had no idea.
Yeah.
Just in the moment.
Yep. Just sitting there and like, and the first day we ended up writing one of her singles, Substance. So it was just like, it just clicked and it worked really well. And we just wrote a really great one. And we were like, I was like, whoa, that felt awesome. And then we wrote more, and yeah.
In that moment, do you realize that like writing songs for others is a part of what you're meant to be doing?
Yeah. Because I think I understand people well, and it's like a different, because you have to get to know somebody quickly if you are meeting them, and Demi writes from like emotional places a lot as well. So it's like on some of the songs, like it was like we really had to like get to know each other on a deep level to write the song. And I think that that's something that I'm good at. So it's kind of like there's like the songwriting itself, but then there's like the personal element where like if you're bad with people, you can be a great songwriter, but you might suck to collaborate with if you're just bad with people, unless somebody just wants you to give them a song. But if an artist wants to be in the song and like write it with you, like you have to be good. They have to feel comfortable. And so I like songwriting for that because it's like a whole other thing. It's not like me just going internally and just making something from my own life. It's like you bond and then create something together that is their vision in their life. And when they love it, it's like, it feels so rewarding to be like, I helped you have something that like you really connect to.
Yeah, you guys bond, and it's something that lasts forever.
Yeah.
Do you realize that you're in love with this person while you're making music with them? Because like you are connecting with them on a deep level. You're understanding each other.
I felt like we connected really quickly, and it was like really good friends really fast. I wasn't considering anything romantic. I was just like, you're really awesome. Like, I feel very comfortable with you, and like the first day is just like so comfortable, and we just are like flowing, and it was all really great. So we just became friends after that for a while before anything romantic started. So I don't know, like the thought of like being in love never crossed my mind, but it was like exceptionally quick how close and comfortable. It's like I felt like I already knew her.
Yeah.
Whereas
That's
like
special.
I get along with a lot of people when I write with them and stuff, but this was like one of those things where I was like, whoa, like did we just become best friends? Like what's going on? So yeah, it was sick.
But that connection allows for so much, right? Like, and that vulnerability allows for the best possible art.
Always. Yeah, always the best stuff comes from like the guard being down, and that's a tough thing to achieve when you're strangers. You know? Like how do you let your guard down, especially in her position? Guard is, you know, it's hard to let your guard down in front of strangers in certain positions, but we were able to just like connect, and I think some really great music came of it.
Art's crazy.
Yeah.
It's really
awesome.
cool.
There's no rules.
Yeah, it's really special. Like
Yeah.
you never know what can come of it, but also like so validating that I don't know, like validating that you're on the right path, and that like being in these sessions, or giving away your song
Right.
was like so the right thing for your journey.
Yeah.
Like you played everything really strategically well. But is that
It's a crazy thing though, because it's like along the way, you question that a million times over, because also in this city, it's a weird sensation. I mean, I come from like a farm. I grew up on a farm on the outskirts of Ottawa in Canada.
it's so
then
small? I know
it's
that area.
so small. It's like you can't even Google the population of. I'm from a place called Kars with a K, Kars. You can't even Google the population because it's so small. Like it doesn't even come up. And
That's crazy.
to go from that to LA to where like I'll be making songs in my room with somebody one day, the next day they have a #1 record, then another #1, and then they're like one of the biggest producers in the world, and you're like, we were just in my bedroom like making music. Or like you meet somebody and then the next day they blow up on TikTok, and it's like people are blowing up left, right, and center overnight. So the long journey that I've had, there's so many times where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Now where I'm actually having some success, I feel like my head is on straight. I know who I am. I know why I want to do it. My expectations / my goals are different. Like before it was like I wanted to prove to everybody that I could do this, because when I first started they laughed at me and all that stuff. But now like I've grown up and I love what I do, and I don't need to prove anything to anyone. I just want to like connect with the people that connect with what I'm doing. So now I'm grateful for the long journey, you know, but along the way there's so much doubt that you're like, what happens if this doesn't work? Like it's, you know, it's a tricky thing. It's like you're kind of just always in the unknown, just swimming, and then you like hit a wall and you're like, okay, let's go over here. And then it's just it's a strange lifestyle, but I'm grateful for the time that everything's taken and kind of the gradual, like, you know, writing for other people and exploring different elements.
I think gradual growth actually leads to sustainable growth.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And you've learned
it's just grueling, but it's at the end of the day, anyone that it took a long time to get there, they'll all be like, I can do this for as long as I want now.
That.
Yeah.
And I think that's like, and that's
all I want. That's all I want.
That's what you're striving for.
Is to just be able to do this for as long as I want to do it. Not just have a moment, just build something real that lasts, build something that means something to people that hear it. I don't even care. I don't have to be the biggest. A lot of people want to be #1. And I'm just like, I just want like a real fan base that love the whole vision and the whole, not just a song, not just this, that, and the other thing. Like I want to build something that will last for years and years. So I feel like I'm really on my way now, and I can feel it happening, which is really great.
What role does Sleepyhead play in solidifying that?
It's definitely like I've clicked into like kind of everything that I've learned from like doing it in my bedroom in Toronto to now. It's like there's just like something in the music that is resonating, because I've always been trying to get hits, and I've always been trying to get success. And with this, it's the first time where I was like, I'm not writing this to be catchy even. Like, I don't even care if these songs are catchy. I just want to make something that makes me feel something, as opposed to like listening to what's top 10 on the radio and being like, that's the kind of vibe I'm going to make. Or like, even if it's not on the radio, if it's rock music, like what is the popular rock sound? I was just like, nah, I need to make something just for myself, just for the sake of art. And then that's what is like done so much better than like by so much than anything I've ever done in my whole career in a matter of months. And it's not just like there's one song, Sleepyhead, that's doing great, but then the other songs are still doing better than anything I've done. So it's like the whole project is kind of growing, not at an unrealistic rate where it's going to be this spike and then everything's going to crash. Like everything is just kind of building, and like I'm just seeing real people reach out and I'm connecting with real people over this music.
Is it because it's not as commercial as, would
Maybe.
you say Ladybug would be like a more commercial sound?
The kinda. I mean,
I
there
was
was
wondering the
definitely
difference
more
between
like
the two. Like, there's more catchy. I mean, it is. I mean, it seems more catchy.
yeah.
Ladybug.
I'm writing it from a standpoint of like being hooky and like kind of like there's like that pop background that like even when I'm doing rock, I still think about catchy hooks and stuff. Where like this new stuff, I'm just not even thinking about that at all.
Doesn't really exist.
This just vibes. Like I'm just like trying to make people feel something and I don't care. I was like trying to make something for radio and then I bailed on all that to make Sleepyhead and now Sleepyhead's on the radio. And I'm like, oh, the point was to not make something for radio and now it's on the radio. Like, so I just think like nowadays because of everything, like before it was like the media would decide these are the songs. They're going to be the songs for the year.
The people decide, dude.
Now it's like all these subcultures and subgenres and a lot of counterculture stuff, like you said before, like is kind of blowing up and niches are becoming massive. Like Charlie XCX is the biggest thing in the world, and that was a niche sound, kind of like that hyper poppy whatever. Like it's not like your clean cut, like the it's not formulaic. It just kind of she just does whatever she wants to do. And that's thriving now. And I think art is thriving. I think people are definitely got run into the ground with TikTok sounds and things being like so bite-sized. I think our attention span is still fucked.
Scary.
I don't know if we're ever going to get that back. I don't know how we get it back. In what world do we get it back? Like, we might be fucked in that front, but I think that niches are thriving because everyone is so bored of everything.
It's true. I think this is the time to make music that you feel, not what you think people want to feel.
Right.
And like people will just feel it with you or not.
Right. And I think that there's people in niches, like not your Charlie XCXs, that are still very niche and underground. There's people that are thriving, that are crushing it, that just aren't like on the charts, but they're doing thousands and thousands of people at their shows, and their merch drops are going crazy.
The definition of like success in the industry is totally different.
Right.
Right. Like how it's all like, dude, it's also where money comes from. Like money isn't even coming from streams anymore. It's coming from like how big your community is that can show up for you.
Yeah.
You know, and then if your community can like be to a size where it can like break radio to a certain degree. Like it's a totally different game.
Yeah, and I think that like the fans nowadays, I'm just like fans first over anything. Like if a hit happens, cool.
By the way, if a hit happens, it's because of your fans.
Yeah, I'm just like the fan base over anything because the industry is very political, obviously, and like some people are in and some people get chosen, and from the jump they just have this team around them that they're just to the moon. But like
less and less today because you can't control the variables, dude. And
even A-listers are like,
bro, the gatekeepers,
missing shots.
Yeah,
like,
the gatekeepers don't exist anymore.
Right.
Like you used to know, like, oh, I call these 8 people to get on these radio stations and these playlists. It's like no,
you'd almost know before the song came out, like this is gonna be a hit. This is gonna be like #1 or whatever.
Yes.
But now it's like
nothing's predictable.
People are it's no one's safe. It's crazy. But that's why I'm just like, let me play my own game, build something that's real, build a little world that gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Amazing. And then when you have the fans, like no one can ignore that anymore. Like when you have the right fan base and you're going around selling out shows everywhere, like the industry
they'll pay attention.
They'll pay attention. So
is there a story being told in Sleepyhead top to bottom? Or is it just a bunch of just individual stories encompassed in these songs?
It's just some individual stories. So it wasn't supposed to be an album. Like Sleepyhead was just me. I made an album. I wrote a full album that I was like thinking rock radio. I was talking to a bunch of like rock independent labels. I was getting desperate where I was like, okay, it's been a minute since I signed my pub deal a while ago. Like I was like, okay, I need some kind of like something to start taking off. So I was like, hey, maybe I do need to sign with a rock label and maybe they can help me get on radio. So I make this whole album that I'm talking to all these labels about, and they're like, yeah, we love this. This sounds like radio. And then I make Sleepyhead as like just for myself, to like cleanse myself, to be like, that sucked. Like I didn't really feel like I was connecting with the music. But it's like I've done that for so long where I'm just trying to do what I think is gonna work, and it never works. And then I do Sleepyhead for me, and I was like, I just felt like there was some magic in it, and I was like, oh, if I don't give this a shot, then I'm gonna regret it forever if I just go ahead with this album that I'm not like obsessed with. And so I just put out Sleepyhead, and then it was kind of like, I also went crazy on TikTok. Like I started posting every day, which I never did. Like I was like, all right, I'm gonna give this a real chance. Like I was always very resistant to the content game that's happening now. I was like, no, I'm in. Like I'm independent. Like if I'm ever gonna do it, like I own this music. Like let's go. And you know, it went from like 2,000 plays a day up to like 130,000 plays a day, and then just from posting all the time. So then I was like, okay, let's keep dropping songs. Like, let's just keep flooding every 3 weeks to 4 weeks.
But songs you're making new because you weren't going to pull it from the other album.
I'm making them and going like, this is coming out in 2 weeks. Like, after I finish it, I'm like, so I'm like, no rules at this point because I'm like, this resonates. I feel good about it.
Go with it.
Let's go with it. And so I'm like, let's just make a 5-song EP. And then it keeps going so well that I'm like, no rules. Let's just keep putting songs on it until it's a 10-song project. And now I'm like, nah, let's like make it a full album, like something that in years I'm going to look back on and be like, this is a full ass album, like something that I would have had when I was a kid. Like, I don't know exactly how many songs. Well, I kind of do, but either way, I went into it. There's 10. There's going to be
3 versions of Sleepyhead, to be fair.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be more than 10. I still have songs. Now I'm caught up and I've made a bunch of songs, and so now I'm just dropping them. But at the time I was like, no rules. I'm independent. Like I don't have to play anyone's game. I don't want to overthink this and get in my own way and be a perfectionist, because the second I start thinking of something as an album, I'm like, well, now should there be a story, and should there be like what order do I have to? And that's when I start slowing down, and I'm like, this is just working, and I'm not overthinking it. I'm putting a song out every 3 weeks, and I'm pushing them like crazy and posting a lot of content, and everything's going up. So there's not really conceptually a through line. There's a couple of songs that like Vertigo is about a guy who's kind of coming to terms with the fact that he's dying, and then Holy Ghost is about an angel that comes back down to earth and falls in love, and she doesn't know he's there. So there's like a couple songs that I randomly just decided to make like connected.
And are those imagination based or reality based?
Vertigo, about the person coming to terms with dying, I was just thinking about a friend of mine who passed away. I've had multiple friends pass away, but some was very sudden, where I can't imagine they had a chance to come to terms with it. But I had other friends that were in the hospital and whatnot, and so I was just imagining coming to terms with passing over as it's happening. And so I just was like, let me write a song about it. Like I was just thinking about it one day for whatever reason, and so I wrote a song, and then the next day I was like still kind of feeling the same energy, so I was like, let me like kind of continue it, but kind of bring him back down to earth and have him fall in love, which is that's kind of like similar vibes to what Iris is about. And Iris is like me and Demi's song. So I was like, let me write like a dark, twisted version that's like my Iris.
Are you talking about the Goo Goo Dolls?
Yeah. Doesn't sound anything like Iris.
It's such a good song.
But it's like that song I feel like is about an angel or something. That like that's what I got from it. So I was like, let me write my own interpretation of this.
And that's art, man, because that song means something different to maybe everybody.
Yeah. I mean, even with Sleepyhead, like just the lyric and the hook, like people are taking it ways that I never imagined when I wrote the song. Like for me, it was like this romantic thing, but people are like grieving, and the I died in my sleep to live in your arms is like they've just lost somebody, or there's like all these different ways that people are interpreting it, which to me is my favorite type of lyric, is something that is like, it could be metaphoric, it could be just ambiguous enough that like whatever you're going through, you can apply it to your life and your own. I don't want to tell you exactly what to feel and whatnot. But yeah, to come back to it, and there's not a story, but there is like a sonic palette. There's like a world, and we've really been intentional about keeping things very cohesive and like building out this world that we feel like has inspiration from different things, but is its own thing and isn't something that we've heard before. And so we're kind of like trying to keep everything in this world, but just attacking different concepts, whether it's love, sex, sadness, anything like that. Like just kind of,
They all go together.
yeah, just emotional stuff. And I'm just trying not to overthink. Like I'm just like, something is happening where it's just coming out and it's just happening very effortlessly.
You just got to go with it.
And so I'm like, yeah. And sometimes I listen to the song after I've made it and like think about it from a way I wasn't thinking when I wrote it. And I'm like, oh, I resonate with it more from this angle. And then I'm like, okay, sick. That's a good thing. It means that anyone that listens to it can take different perspectives.
Dude, just be the vessel.
Yeah.
And put it out.
Yeah.
It's really special.
That's the plan. The plan is no plan and just let it happen.
Will you sell the songs that you made for that radio rock album?
So now there's a couple that I'm kind of like, okay, I like this. I like parts of it, parts I want to redo, and like want to redo the production to bring it into like Sleepyhead world. So there's some that I'm kind of like revisiting where I'm like, we really did something cool on this part. Like, let's not just like throw that away. But the other ones, I'll definitely put them into the, like, give them to my publisher and kind of be like, whether it's like, sometimes it doesn't even have to go to someone else. It could just go to sync and just be placed in a show or something random. But yeah, I'm definitely not precious like I was with Capital, where I was like, everything's for me. Like now I'm like, if I don't love it and want to put it out today, I probably won't in 6 months. And then after a year, there's no way I'm putting it out. So it's like,
Really?
let it go. Yeah. That's just how I am. Like the amount of times I would put out songs that were like a year old and be out of love with them by the time I'm putting them out. Like that's how music on labels kind of goes. Everything takes so long. Now I love that I make it while it's fresh, I'm putting it out. So like I love the song and it's still kind of new to me when I'm releasing it.
Yeah, you get to experience it almost for the first time with everybody else.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
How did Iris become your and Demi's song?
I don't know how. It just, I mean, she covered it on tour. I'm trying to think if there was like a moment. It was definitely like on a playlist that we made. We would like send playlists back and forth early days, and there was a playlist that it was on, and maybe that sparked like the conversation. It just like kind of happened. Like I don't remember a moment, but like Iris just became like our thing.
It's an amazing song.
It's incredible.
It's like inspiring every time you hear it.
It's just one of those ones where like you're like, damn, I wish I wrote. Like if I could just have anything close to an Iris, that'd be so awesome.
And there are some songs like every time you hear it, it's like the first time you heard it. That is one.
Yeah,
It's so fucking good.
so good.
By the way, all of Jutes' music is waiting for you. You can listen to Sleepyhead. There's a link below. Link below. What are you thinking?
Well, in your song, it's an older one, Hollywood Hillbilly. You say, I won't dress up for your parties.
Yeah.
And it seems like the new life you're in, you're kind of getting more dressed up for certain parties. How have you handled the change in lifestyle?
I think first of all, I'm sober. At that point, when I wrote that song, I was probably just, it actually was, I think what I was referencing was I went to a Halloween party and I didn't wear a costume. And the host got like really, really mad at me for it and like called me out and like was really drunk. So like was a friend of mine, but like I was like, okay, chill. Like I get it. And he was like so mad that I didn't dress up for this party. And I'm pretty sure that's what I was referencing when I said I won't dress up for your parties. But I mean, that song was definitely feels like a character that I kind of was like, just a dirtbag version of myself. Like he was in there more. There'll always be like that slight dirtbag that's in me. But that was more so me just like, I'm from the country, like I'm not from here, but now I'm in Hollywood, but I'm this hillbilly, like you can't take me anywhere kind of energy. But now I dress up because I'm like, I can't be showing up bummy like and make you look bad. Like a lot of the stuff I go to is with her and to support her and like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to be got coffee stains down my chest and like all that stuff. Trying to look somewhat decent.
Was making the idea or the decision to make her the cover art for Obsessed just natural? Again,
That's not her. That's literally an AI.
the fuck?
Yeah.
What?
That's not her.
Kind of looks like
I feel like people ask that online.
Yeah, it's in my notes as it was her. So
Maybe I think I saw people being like, "Who is that? Is that Demi?" And I just never said anything because I was just like, again, I'm not here to tell you all the answers. You just say whatever you want. But like, that's literally I made that person on an AI thing. That's not even a real person at all.
okay, so what do you type into ChatGPT?
I don't remember. It takes a lot of tries.
Yeah, you have to like
It
refine it,
ends
right?
up being like a paragraph, and like you change one little thing.
And it's right.
Yeah, it'll be like 90s Kodak 35 millimeter film style black and white photo of girl in room.
But you know you don't own it,
wide eye.
right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, you won't own it.
Oh,
I'm just-
whatever.
sorry, I'm just you're an
That's fine.
entrepreneur. You're an entrepreneur. I'm
I've
just letting you know.
I've stopped using cover arts in general for Sleepyhead, and everything is just the album cover. Because I was like,
Really?
it all is an album. I don't want it to be confusing. It already is confusing that I'm releasing an album one single at a time.
I
'Cause
love it though.
people are like, "Oh, the album's great!" Like, and I'm like, "It's not over yet. Like, the album's not
Yeah,
fully out."
I'm under the impression based on our packet that the album is out and done, but it is not.
It's like in progress. It's
Like everything in this world.
yeah, and so I'm just like, let me keep the same cover for everything because otherwise, just so confusing.
I gotta say though, AI is like both a blessing and a curse, and like a part of all those things that like we don't read is them owning the shit that they do. And
Yeah.
by the way, a lot of what they're being inspired by, I'm sure, is stuff that they like register online that both of us have created already. So
Yeah, and there's the music ones. Apparently, we're getting sued bad or something.
oh, dude, there's AI systems that will literally allow you to create a scratch record for somebody that has their voice on it.
Yeah,
So like you're pitching a
There's-
record to Demi that has Demi's voice on it that she's never actually sang.
crazy.
It's
And I think there's
frightening.
like programs that can like, if you run it like a song or whatever, let's say you get AI to make you a song. I'm pretty sure there's programs now that you can run it through and it'll be like, it's this percent, this song, this percent. Like it'll tell you, I think.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, there's so much wild stuff. I can't even keep up. That's why I'm like, let me just do my weird like hybrid genre, whatever. Like AI will never probably make what I'm doing, so
Yeah.
I'm cool.
Just do you.
But the formulaic pop stuff, I'd be like, damn, I feel like AI is catching up too quick.
Yeah, they could maybe even do
I've
it
heard
better
some
than a
catchy ass
person.
AI songs where I'm like, this could be a smash.
Really?
Yeah, I've heard some that are like, I was like, this could be on the radio.
So how do you divide your time these days? Like, will you do sessions for other people in a week, or are you just kind of just creating freely?
So before Sleepyhead, I was kind of like feeling kind of down about my artist career. So I was like, maybe the songwriter thing is the primary focus, like that, because I had gotten some K-pop stuff, and like the money is just better than the money I was making for my artist stuff. So I was like, okay, maybe that'll be my focus, and then since Sleepyhead has started doing so well and everything has changed, I've now been very selective about the song. I just don't want to overextend and just be like, just burn out mentally. Because if I write too many songs, like I can write a song a day for like a little stretch, and then I just have to take a break because my brain will just turn into like a raisin, and I'll just be like, I don't have another song in my mind. But there are artists where I'm very invested and we've done a lot of work, and if it's like, oh, I want to bring you on to like co-write the whole album, that'll do.
Is that what you're looking for now?
It's just like I like to feel connected to the project, then I really feel like I can get invested beyond like a random one-off day. But I still am pitching like old songs. Like I still have hundreds of songs that are just sitting there. So I just landed something that I wrote like 4 years ago. the other day that someone put out. So there's always stuff just floating around.
Who is it? What is it?
It was a K-pop thing.
Cool.
I can't even pronounce his name. I'm not even gonna try. I don't want to offend anybody. But it's like, yeah, it came out and it did well, and it was a song that had been a thing for a long time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Just for something that was sitting on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah. I was a good email to get. I was like, sick.
Awesome.
Yeah.
By the way, back to Obsessed. It is a song about professing your love for somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are obsessed. Is
Yeah.
obsessed and love the same thing?
It doesn't have to be.
But it could be.
I'm in love and I'm obsessed right now, but I don't think obsessed can be lighter than, it can be intense, but like love is like you'll make sacrifices in your life and do all kinds of stuff for love, whereas like obsessed could just be like lust in another way. That's how I kind of see it, is like being obsessed. You could be obsessed with something and not truly love it.
But you can get confused.
Like infatuated.
Totally.
Yeah. You can still act crazy if you're obsessed. You can
yeah.
still, do wild things, but that song is definitely more sexual in nature, and it's just passion. I'll just say that. The song is kind of about like intense, passionate lust.
And Sex and Palo Santo is about the confidence you get from this relationship, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that one kind of speaks for itself.
I like a little scream in that one.
That I'm trying to learn how to do without hurting myself. That's like me really just screaming as hard as I can and like hunching over and like cupping the mic and going crazy, which I end up losing my voice when I do it. And I like the sound of it. It sounds cool because it sounds so emotional. And I find some technical screams when it's like a scream singer, if it's like really technical, it sounds like too technical and doesn't sound like they're like dying.
Passionate.
Yeah, like I love emotional screaming, but any vocal coach will tell you not to use emotion when you scream because that's when you hurt yourself. And so I'm like in the process of like learning how to scream responsibly on tour, because doing that every night is like, it's a wrap.
It's not sustainable.
It's not. I'll get nodes and I'll end up having to get surgery and whatnot. So yeah, I'm actually like working with a vocal coach, and it's really helpful. I put it off for a long time, but I'm like, it's my instrument. Why would I not?
Why was the scream necessary to convey that emotion or for that story?
I don't know. Because it's like, in that song, it's like the cadence is all like sexy and confident, but then the scream kind of has this desperation element to it. So it's like, okay, you're really confident and it's all sexy, but then like it's almost like I've thought of it as like your internal dialogue is like screaming, stay, like please don't leave, even though you're like playing it off so cool and calm and collected. It was just something I tried and thought it felt special, and I'd never done anything like that. Like I'd never screamed at all on a song. So thought I would try it, and now I'm rehearsing for my show next week, and I'm like, oh boy, now it's real.
Very real.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Will your entire set list be this new album, or are you going to play anything from Ladybug or
I got some stuff. I got some stuff from Ladybug in there, and like a random single that wasn't on a project, but the majority of it is Sleepyhead records, and then also a couple unreleased songs from Sleepyhead.
Are you the Ladybug that you're referring to in the album, or is somebody else Ladybug? Because it is Luck, right? That's what you're referring to?
It's like Ladybug. I was thinking of my fiance, because I was just picturing, on my way to the studio, I was like picturing myself as this, like, my life as this barren wasteland, and then just like seeing this beautiful ladybug, which is like, it's like, just like, yeah, good luck, like hope, exactly. Like I was just kind of feeling like my life was kind of gnarly and raw and, you know, whatever. And then this something so beautiful that, you know, stands for something so positive just kind of shows up and gives me hope. You know what I mean? That's what I was thinking of when I made it.
In that moment, are you writing from a place of just exactly what you need to write and not thinking about radio and just letting your emotions and yourself lead the way? Or are you trying to like
that
formulate...
one I wasn't thinking radio. That whole project was still just me kind of trying to do my own thing. I don't feel like I was trying to tackle anything like overly commercial with that, but definitely a lot more than Sleepyhead. Like it's definitely still like structured choruses that have more repetition.
It's a great album.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
That one I was very like inspired by a lot of like 90s grunge rock stuff. A lot of Nirvana, a lot of Smashing Pumpkins vibes. So like those songs, like they're still catchy.
Yeah, they have formula to it.
Yeah.
You mentioned Sobriety earlier. Is that what It's Me Again is about?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's another one of those songs that have multiple meanings.
Yeah.
So where were you?
Yeah, someone actually commented on that and was like, I love this song, but I wish you would do one that isn't about a relationship. And I was like, oh, funny you say that, because this song is not about a relationship. It is about like the little, it's so when I wasn't sober, the kind of calling to do whatever it was, bad stuff, me and my friend called it Mr. Frost. It was like this made up guy who would be like, come back to the dark side. And we kind of like made a joke of it, kind of like as you sometimes make jokes about your darkest like bad habits. But I was just kind of thinking about those days, because it's like I love being sober and my life is so much better now that I'm sober. It's not even close. But it's like a forever thing that you kind of have to like just being at events and being in social situations. I want to drink and I want to like I have these thoughts, or like on really bad days, as well as good as things are right now. Like you obviously have bad days, and that little voice, I'm really good at saying no to the voice now, but it's still there. And so I just wanted to write kind of a song about that voice always being there, and like it just being maybe a part of me or a part of anyone who's struggling.
It is hard. Mm-hmm. It's the hardest thing. I mean, do you feel like for lack of a better phrase, like have you like replaced one thing with another? Like like my dad's been sober for like 35, 36 years or something. Wow. He drinks Diet Coke and goes to the gym like once or twice a day.
Right.
You know, almost everybody like
I drink a ton of coffee, but I always did. That isn't like a substitute. I mean,
could be a work ethic thing.
I for a while was going really hard on like running. I was running every single morning, like at least 5 miles. And so that was like early days of trying to get sober. Like I was just like this addiction to like running every day, and I kind of replaced it with that.
That is an addiction, because like you're triggering a bunch of shit in your brain.
Yeah, exactly. Now I'm like on and off with the gym, but it's also like it's like 2.5 years now that I've been sober. So it's like the early stage, I was like, I have to replace it with something. Like I have to be obsessed with something.
Totally.
Beyond just like, obviously there's always music and stuff, but like my vice, whatever it is that I replace it with. And now it just feels like I don't get triggered as hard. It's like not really to the point where I'm like, oh, I'm actually thinking about like I'm gonna get a drink now or whatever. Now I'm like, I'm pretty good. I just socially I'm like, I remember what it was like to be out and to not be sober and to not care about any of these social interactions and just have fun.
Yeah, to have blind confidence.
Blind confidence. Like it just like I felt like I don't care what anyone thinks, and then I go now and I'm like just like kind of like just an awkward, anxious person like everybody else. You know what I mean? And that's still there. And
well, you're never coming off as awkward or anxious as you think you're coming off.
And that's the thing is like no one cares.
No one
gives a shit Like, they care about you, but they don't
No.
care about you in the sense that, like, if you're standing there, you could be standing by yourself.
Who gives a shit?
Like this, and no one gives a fuck. Why would
No.
they care? I wouldn't care if someone was standing there, but you're like, everyone's looking at me right now, and they think I'm so weird for standing
And
here.
by the way, like it could be for anything, like
Yeah.
anything, like anything that could potentially spark judgment from somebody else.
Even failure, as far as like, kind of back to the first thing we were talking about, like just the internet and stuff like that. Like, no one really cares. Everyone is like on to the next thing so fast, and everyone is obsessed with what they're doing. That like something that you think everyone might have saw, like they just didn't. And if they did, they moved on so much faster than you realize. Like, it's just, they're not invested enough in the stuff that you're worried about. So I try to tell myself that. I also try to, like, somebody said something at an event, just saying like, it's not like when you're at an event, if you're feeling anxious, like sometimes it's nice to think like, I don't need everyone here to fuck with me. Like, I just need to figure out who I fuck with. Instead of you being like, I hope I'm not weird. I hope I don't look weird to everyone. Like, who cares if you do or don't? But if someone's cool, like, then you can find the people you fuck with, as opposed to like being worried that everybody needs to fuck with you or whatever. So stuff like that kind of helps. But still, like, at the end of the day, I'm like, a drink would be sick right now. Like, I don't want to promote anything, whatever, but like, it's real.
You should be proud, though.
Thank you.
You've accomplished
I mean,
something.
I'm so much better off. In every facet of my life, things are going the right way now, and I think a huge part of that is, I just wasn't, when I was not sober, like, nothing else was really the priority. Now, like, all the right stuff is the priority.
Because it allows you to see everything
Yeah,
in a very clear way.
yeah.
So what is your number one priority today?
Love, my fiance, one day I'd love to start a family with her. That excites me a lot. My music, my relationships in my life, just the stuff that makes me feel like I'm using my time here on earth wisely and making some kind of a difference. You know what I mean? Like, if I can make something that is therapeutic to me and therapeutic to other people, and I can focus on that, that's amazing. And then, just my relationship means so much to me. Like, all my friends, like, I just care about the people. I don't talk to a million people. Everything's gotten a lot more close knit, and I just like really care about my little world of people, and that's the stuff I want to like focus on the most.
How did Demi make you a better person?
I think she's just like so, wise, and she's been through so much that everyone is aware of. But she just has like a crazy perspective because of all the stuff she's been through, and she just inspires me to kind of, like, she's always doing new things and trying new stuff and, taking new leaps of faith, and she's still gets scared and anxious about stuff she's doing, and because it's new. And I just think like that's really inspiring, and that's kind of like something that I want to take on and like always be growing and always be trying new stuff and trying to be better, and not just like being like things are working and things are great. Like, I'll just stay right here, like to stay in that like place of growth.
Yeah, comfort and complacency will really just
Yeah.
hold you back, ruin you.
Yeah, like I like having our little comfort moments where we're watching reality TV or whatever, and then, wake up the next day and try to keep chipping away at whether it's self-growth, whether it's like something you're working on. Yeah, and I think like that goes back to the substance abuse stuff, is like that was like me trying to all the time be in this like safety blanket and like not grow and not be anxious ever, and just wanting to stay in a place of
Because
like,
it's true. Like anxiety and change and growth they all go hand in hand.
yeah, totally. Everything that's worth doing I mean, not everything, but a lot of things that are worth doing make you feel scared or anxious.
Totally. And by the way, like the easy way to approach things is like to take a hit of weed or grab a drink.
Yeah.
In order to like keep yourself from growing, because again, growth
Right.
is scary.
It's scary. And you feel like you're doing something even when you're doing nothing if you're drinking or using drugs or whatever.
Totally.
And it's like, I'd be like, yeah, I'm always doing some shit, like in Toronto, whatever. It's like, but I'm not doing anything.
Yeah. You're doing something, but
my
nothing.
brain thinks that I'm not just like watching TV. It's like, oh, I'm like doing all this shit and I'm out and whatever. But it's like, I'm not getting anywhere. You know, I'm not growing at all. So, yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
How are you feeling? Carry Me is the song you wrote for her when you proposed.
Yeah.
Right? How are you feeling on that day? Because like, one, you're proposing. Two, you're showing an original song you wrote for someone.
Can't even tell you the anxiety. That was like more scared than I've ever been for like any show, anything I've ever done, because I'm not a guitar player. And so it took me like a week just to like write this song on guitar, because I don't know what I'm doing. I can play very basic chords. But yeah, I spent like a week trying to write this song, and she had some shows out of town, thank God. So I was like writing this song and practicing it around the house, but like 3 out of 4 times I'm like completely screwing it up. So I'm like, I bit off way more than I can chew with this. Like, why did I have to do this? I'm not John Mayer. Like, what am I doing? But I just kept practicing and practicing and practicing. And then, yeah, it was very nerve-wracking on the day. And it was just kind of like one of those things where I was like, showtime. Like, and I had her like photographer there, because I was like, she's going to want a little video of this. So I'm like, this is it. Like, literally, there's no do-over. There's no, but I was like, if I mess up, like I just have to just do it and just hope for the best. But yeah, my stomach was like in my throat. I was like, it was nerve-wracking.
She loves you. Even if you mess up, it's okay. It's a part of life.
I had to keep telling myself that. I was like, you know, she's not going to say no if I mess up a lyric. She's also never heard the song. So.
Was it an easy song to write?
Yeah. I think like lyrically, it's a song that I had been thinking about for months and months. And I had been thinking about ideas, and like I would jot down like a memory that would pop into my head, and I'd be like, oh, this could be like a line in the song or whatever. So when I actually sat down to write the song, I would say the guitar part was the hardest. The melodies just kind of like came very organically. And the lyrics, yeah, they had been just like, I had been thinking about the stuff I wanted to reference. Because there's like some stuff that like kind of only she would get in the song. And I just like wanted it to have very personal stuff that's just for her. I wasn't even going to put that out. She was like, you got to put this out. This is your best song. And I was like, you're biased, but okay.
It's really special.
Thank you.
Like, art's special, but love is special. I mean, and also the right partner could bring out the most amazing things out of a person.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a part of being in a healthy relationship and a real relationship, right? It's an obligation. Like, bring the best out in them, and they will bring the best out in you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's been like very smooth sailing. We're best friends, want the best for each other. And then, you know, we were friends first. Like, it all just feels very.
It's a cool team.
Yeah. It's a great team.
You got to listen to Sleepyhead. The album's waiting for you. Link below. All of Jutes' music is going to be there. Final thoughts?
Last thing is, like, the albums just keep getting darker and darker sound-wise.
I know, right?
How much darker?
I have no idea.
Where could you go from here?
Next time I come back, I'll have like long black hair and a trench coat. You'll be like, no. Yeah, I mean, it's very dramatic. Totally, it's so dramatic and gotten heavy and dark. I like that there's this duality of like there's heavy darkness, but then there's like these like shimmery elements that are kind of like, you know, not so scary. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows what's gonna happen?
We'll see next time you're here.
I'm just gonna be just making sure to fight music. Who knows?
But a part of the process is like, in front of it is like, you don't even know.
Yeah,
So.
I have no idea. And I'm like, I love this. I want to like stick here. And a lot of people have been like, this is your sound. Like fans, like, this is your sound. Like, you finally found it. Like, stay here. And I'm like, I hope I can, because inevitably I'm going to just be like, all right, this next thing is inspiring me now. And I really like it.
You don't really dictate it. The universe does.
Yeah.
That's art.
It's art.
Please come back as you release albums, though.
Hell yeah. Thank you. This has been fun.
We're always here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Seriously, we've been here a long time. I think Demi's been coming on our show in different capacities for like 12 years.
No way.
It's very scary.
Holy.
We're very old. Yes.
Wow.
Right? I think?
Yeah, it's been
It has to be.
10 plus years, definitely.
I mean, yeah, it has to be at least
Well,
12.
build something real. It'll last.
Well, yeah, hopefully
Guys
we're
on
here for
fire.
another 12.
Hell yeah.
Knock on that log for me.
Got you.
That's a good luck log.
Nice.
Listen to Jutes' music. It's all waiting for you on Amazon Music. Thanks for like giving us time and energy. I
Of
really
course.
appreciate
Thank
it.
you guys for having me. Really fun.
You're really special.
Thank you.
Thanks. Jutes, everybody.